Hello and welcome to ReCall The Midwife. We are a fan podcast where we watch an episode of Call The Midwife and talk about it. Today we are talking about the 2022 Christmas special. I'm Alex.
I'm Becky.
I'm Jen. A reminder that this week's episode deals with homelessness, abandonment, traumatic birth, alcoholism, the effects of thalidomide, and disability discrimination. So if those topics are ones you'd prefer to skip this time, we understand and hope you join us for the next one.
It's Christmas 1967. Poplar is recovering from the train crash. Rhoda Mullocks is expecting her fourth baby, but the family continues to struggle with the thalidomide scandal. Reggie encounters Cindy, a young girl who has been released from Holloway prison. She only has the summer clothes she's standing in. Her fiancé has disappeared, leaving only a Christmas card full of money. She's evicted as she goes into labour, and Nurse Crane and Miss Higgins come to her rescue. The residents of Poplar put on a talent show, and Matthew proposes to Trixie with Nancy's help. It's a very brief synopsis.
That's all it needs to be.
Bex,
That's all it needs to
I
be.
can't believe you said that Cindy's fiance leaves her with a Christmas card full of money. I have to disagree.
With some money.
It's
He
technically
gives
got
her
money
a card
in it.
that he barely scrawled his name inside of, and it has a £5 note.
It's like there's no explanation, just Andreas.
That was a fortune in those days. Enough for her to set up on her own.
I mean, it was 2 weeks' rent at least. Now, can I just talk about really quick about the first scene that we saw? Was Lucille's birth, not her birth, she was at a birth. I thought it was a flashback because that house was absolutely rank. It was like, we haven't seen one of them since like the start of the 1950s. Which flat then?
I thought it looked like the flat that the triplets were born in, and also, remember the flat where Phyllis, this is so gross. Remember,
nicer, haven't they?
But remember when Phyllis got like squirted in the face by amniotic fluid? That flat, that's the flat I thought it was.
Yeah,
but even
again,
gross,
but
even the mother didn't look.
I thought it was like a weird flashback, and I thought, oh, what's this? And then it wasn't, and I was like, oh, so really, it was a non-entity of me saying it. But there we go.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. It definitely was one of those type of places.
I'm really wrong. What shall we? We're recording this late at night. I hope we're not all giddy again. Well, giddy or angry. What storyline should we go with first?
Should we talk about where Sister Hilda's disappeared to?
Oh my God. A classic Call the Midwife cut and run. Yep.
I was outraged. I've written in massive capital letters, no Sister Hilda. I was outraged.
Oh,
do you know what I mean as well? They're like, she was really good. She was amazing. She did loads of stuff. And all anyone's annoyed about, Sister Francis is asking about the bloody Christmas cake. I'm like,
I know.
Yeah.
That's all Sister Francis was bothered about, the Christmas cake.
They're so busy all the time, but you know, Trixie's not there and stuff. And no Sister Hilda. I'm like, oh, what about the Christmas cake? Well, I've got my O level. Never mind. What? Surely there'd be more outrage.
That was crazy.
I just thought it needed more explanation because they didn't explain why she's obviously gone back to the mother house. No explanation why.
Probably because she's filming something in real life.
Why is she needed there all of a sudden? I mean, it was just so like I was watching this episode with my mom and I was just like, oh, here we go. I was like a classic, but I mean, should we say what happened? I mean, well, I won't say it right now, but the end of the episode had the similar as the beginning.
Oh, don't. I've been dreading this day, guys.
Oh.
Why? What happens at the end?
It's about Sister Francis, and we'll leave it there for now.
What I think they need to do is put in people's contracts, yes, at the end of the season, you might not choose to return to Call the Midwife, but if you choose not to return to Call the Midwife, you have to commit to a 5-minute scene which provides an explanation.
Yeah.
Also, like, for a show that I genuinely think the writing is so exceptional, these like oops, they're gone every time, like, really really sends me the moon.
We've said this before and I'll say it again, and I am doing now. I'd love in a Christmas episode for there to be postcards, Christmas cards, all this, just a 2-minute scene where they're like, oh, we've had a thing from this person, and then, oh, and Patsy and thing, they're doing really well with their adopted baby. Do you know what I mean? Stuff like this. And I just think, just give it to us, guys. Give it to us. Even Jenny. None of us care. But, just,
Well, also, like, I mean, here's the thing, like, I mean, we talk about how meticulous Heidi Thomas is all the time. Like, she doesn't know by the time she's finishing the last episode of the season who's going to be back for the Christmas episode, or who's going to be back for the following season. Like, I mean, you can't put something in there about like, oh, maybe when you go to the mother house, like, it's just these abrupt, like, we'll never see you again, never hear from you. I don't know.
I know that's not their fault, but do you know what I mean? Like, it's not their fault. Can I just say really, really quick? We were talking on the last episode about how Carol had the itching and stuff the whole liver disease thing or the liver problem or whatever. She was going a bit yellow. Apparently that was put in because Trixie in real life suffered from it. So they put it into the episode because she was obviously pregnant at the time.
How did you find this out?
And we had a message from one of our...
Literally
as if I did the research for that, guys. We don't need to. We've got people who can research for
us.
But
that's... I had talked about that before, that like Trixie, you know, like she had
Tina Rebelski is confirmed. Both of her but it was because it was put into this one.
I actually thought it wasn't the same thing because
Tina Rebelski's confirmed it was done for that because she thanked them on Twitter at the time for bringing awareness to the condition because she was obviously pregnant during that series and that's why they did it then. So you know, when we were like, it's a bit of a weird. Yeah.
Well, talking about
Trixie. You mean Trixie thanked the show?
Yeah.
Oh, because okay. Gotcha. Because I don't think it was called. Okay. Anyway, I don't know what it's called. I wasn't clear on if they had the same name or whatever.
Yeah, but we were a bit like, it just seemed a bit much, but it's because of that.
Well, Trixie's back. She hung the twig-like wreath on the door.
That was the worst wreath I've ever seen in my life, guys.
I didn't know if that was the point of it. Is it supposed to be a bad string wreath? Is that like what you guys do?
Talking about it because I thought, is it something I don't know about this? Like, is it a tradition in the Anglican Church to hang a terrible wreath with a bell on?
I just didn't know if it was like a British thing. Like y'all just love like a really stringy wreath.
How dare you? How dare you? How very dare you? Trixie and Matthew.
What do you think they were doing? Why do you think they were really an hour late?
Over and lay by. Do you know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, these two are just so down to clown. Like, the guilty look on their faces. They were like, "Oh, we ran out of petrol." I'm like, they're nuns, not idiots, you guys. Like, you don't think that they know?
He was revving his engine.
Oh my god.
Should we
like the second coming of Dr. Turner and Sheila? Like, remember when they were like all up at each other?
Watch what you're saying with your word in there.
Should we talk about Cindy's storyline first?
Yes.
What was that poster of Santa that was just up in the foyer of Holloway?
I mean,
I didn't see that. I didn't see that.
Just making it Christmassy. Do you know, so Holloway's quite a famous prison over here, Jen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is it for like especially bad people?
Well, no, just being really. It was built. It was like this whole project to build these prisons and stuff, and it's like this classic prison kind of design to it.
It's like a what?
Is that where the craze went?
I think so, yeah. Anyway, she got out early for good behaviour.
Yeah.
They didn't actually say what she'd been doing. She'd been doing that, did they?
No, but later on, wasn't
Don't we get again?
I assume it was solicitation because they hinted at that later on when she actually does that again.
Right. So we've also touched on this. So her fiance, Andreas Rogerson. What a name. She goes to his flat.
He's gone off on a shit?
I don't know. I think he's just left her because obviously she was pregnant, wasn't she? And he doesn't want to deal with that. And I don't think he really cared.
I think he just ditched.
Yeah. So Andreas Rogerson was not at his address. The woman, and I'm really sorry if you're this actress who was the woman, but your acting wasn't great. She was just like, "Oh, the kids are annoying the dog. Close the door." I was like, "Bye then." Like, it was just awful. And,
I moved in like 2 weeks ago, basically.
Yeah. She's like, there's some post for him.
There's a letter that I have.
Yeah, there's some post for him if you have it. And it's like, one's a bill, a summons, and then just basically a few quid in a card. So she goes to Fred's newsagents. Don't know why.
Why didn't Violet clock that she was just in summer clothes?
I don't know, but to be honest,
think she was too distracted, like yelling at Fred about the Christmas accounts.
Yeah, I mean, fair. I didn't clock she was pregnant until later. Did you all notice it first?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Oh. There's a scene where
I didn't notice at all. I was like, oh my god, she's
Call The Midwife, Alex.
There's a scene where she's like walking down the street and she's going up to a door or something like that, or she's like stepping up on a curb, and the wind blows her dress right against her. And because she's already wearing like a mini dress, the bump, like she almost had her. I mean, it was almost like you could see her underwear. You know what I mean? Like the dress was just so short, but it very much accentuated her tummy. Like
it's a miracle she got back into it.
I don't know how far along she was, but I was shocked she still fit into the dress in the first place. I was like, how? But
bless Reggie going with his coat to give her.
Oh, I know. That was cute.
But also, how nice was Cindy to Reggie as well? Like she was she just treated him so nice.
We'll talk about that. So her father was an American GI, Jen. We always try and give people this backstory, but it actually happened there.
It did actually happen.
Yeah,
it did actually happen.
And the mother was British, born in Bradford. So she goes to get some lodging. She's in a bit of a destitute state. She goes to get some lodgings. Did you recognise the actress who played the landlady, Bex?
She's from Coronation Street.
Yes, well done. She was Denise in Coronation Street. She had a baby with Thingy Barlow. What was his name? Ken Barlow. Anyway, sorry. So
surely there's a huge
Is Ken Barlow a real person,
her
or is he a Coronation Street person?
He's played by a real person. He is Ken Barlow is the actor. You're right. Sorry, no, is the character. You're right. But he's the one who's been in Coronation Street the whole time.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm gonna controversial, but he's like the most boring character of all. Like, how have you stayed the whole time? Anyway, that's bad.
I think they just forget he's there, and then every so often
this is not a Coronation Street podcast, so I think we need to move on.
Bloody job, because I don't watch it. So anyway, so I am a bit partial to it, I'm not gonna lie. So anyway, so she goes to there and she's like trying to get somewhere, and the woman's like, you're not allowed to stay here when the baby comes, you need to get yourself sorted before that. So she goes to the housing place, right, the government housing, like, you know, social services, whatever, and tries to sort out a government maternity grant, right? They could have not been less derisive or less helpful, could they? They were absolutely.
I mean, it was
awful, Jen.
No, I'm not disagreeing. I'm emphasizing the point. I'm saying not only was he not helpful and exceptionally rude, he was offensive on almost every level.
Yeah.
Like he was so rude to her, and you know, I don't even know what the discrimination against her for being a woman, for being a woman of color, for like basically existing, for being an unwed mother. Like, I mean, like when she like was talking to him, he was so condescending. Like, you literally could not have a more condescending person. And then after they have their conversation where she's sitting across from him, she's literally just sitting on a chair, like just looking at the wall or, you know, his file cabinet or whatever like that, just kind of musing. He walks up to her and he's like, okay, he's like, all these forms for, you know, blah, 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 you know, the different like programs that he's going to help her, like the forms are for. And then he says, but before I even offer them to you, even give you the stack of empty, unfilled out papers, are you even a British citizen? Are you even entitled to apply? And then that's when she says, well, my dad was a GI and my mom was from like just a regular British lady from Bradford.
Yeah.
And I was born in blah, blah, blah.
She sounded so northern.
And he was like, ugh, you know, like he was just so pissed off that he had to give her the papers and like, you know, like, which I mean, I just was like, you are so terrible. Like, he was. It was
just
horrible.
so sad because obviously she was in this really desperate situation. She had money was running out. She had because she was saying how, like, you know, she didn't have all the papers she needed and stuff. She went there for help and got short shrift basically. Went home and then suddenly it's freezing as well. By the way, she can't afford to bloody live anywhere nice and warm. She goes into bloody labour. And Denise from Corrie bloody goes and kicks her out. She's like, oh, you can't here because social services will, if they come here, it'll be awful. You can't do that.
She says the building's been condemned. You'll have the baby taken out. She just doesn't want. I think she doesn't want any sort of officials in her building, does she?
Yeah.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think she did have some legitimate concerns that she was expressing about everyone was going to get evicted or thrown out of that building if like anyone official came into it.
Yeah, but also like don't have people living in a hovel.
Oh, I agree. I mean, but there was in that scene where her water broke. I felt like the actress who played the landlady did have a more complex, like she was giving me more than just like, oh, I'm a horrible, like uncaring person. I think she was actually signaling something like a little bit deeper there. But the thing was that Cindy just broke my heart was that when she was upstairs, you could tell she was like actively in labor, and she's like, come on, little one, like we can't come right now, like you got to stay inside or whatever, like why don't you and I just bundle up under the covers, you know, I'll get you a hot water bottle or whatever. And she looked freezing the whole entire episode, literally until,
which was mad because we were all watching it boiling.
Oh my god.
And that reasoning was never going to work. Just talking to the baby and saying stay put was never gonna.
I know, but I mean, there's only so much a human being can take. My God, poor Cindy. Like,
she's in labor. She's in pain. She knocks on a door of someone, right? And they're like,
she's literally walking through Poplar in open-toed slides, a blanket, and then the thinnest chemise nightgown you could ever think of, holding her belly.
And they're just like, no, we're not going to answer the door to that. So she's absolutely. Yeah, she's destitute. Can I just say really quick? I was watching Love Island the other night at 10:30 at night, and someone knocked on my window behind me. Oh my God. I shat myself, ran upstairs to my husband, who was actually just about to go to sleep. And anyway, I didn't know who it was. I was like, oh my God, terrified to go back down. It was really awkward. Anyway, it was someone I knew. It was a long story. But the point is, I was just like, oh my God. So I can imagine I actually have some first-hand experience here. If someone's knocking your door late at night, you would be a bit like, ooh. I'm not going to help them. So I was a bit like,
Yeah.
oh, that's terrible. But actually, I've been in that situation and I didn't answer the door. So
You're like, I lived it. I lived it, being the person inside the house.
well, he was like, go away, to be fair. That was a bit mean. So yeah, you're right. She was wearing hardly anything in the snow, right? Can I just say what fortuitous, it was so fortuitous for her that she collapsed in a garden right near Miss Higgins and Nurse Crane.
Yes, yes. And I'll
In
tell
the
you what,
snow.
Cindy
Can I just say, guys,
did
she was
such
on her
a good
knees in the
job.
snow, her bare knees in the snow. It went right through me.
Oh my God. I know that in real life all that snow was just like cotton fluff or whatever, but she did such a good job of acting like she was absolutely frozen to the bone.
Yeah.
Oh my
Screaming
God.
like,
Cindy,
help me. She was amazing at that as well.
oh my God, Cindy has my heart, you guys.
Well, yeah. So Phyllis takes her and she's like, you're going to be warm and safe. And I'm sorry you've not. And Cindy's like, I'm sorry. And she's like, you've got nothing to apologize for. Like Nurse Crane is who you'd want in that situation.
Oh.
The fact that the first thing Nurse Crane did was take her cardigan off and put it around her shoulders.
Oh, and I put it
and
on
it looks a cozy cardigan.
So then they get her inside, they get her into Miss Higgins' house, and they get her into Miss Higgins' bed. And to be fair, Miss Higgins didn't look annoyed like I would be, like, that's disgusting.
I was just like that. She's going to ruin that mattress.
Yeah. Miss Higgins was totally okay with it. She was absolutely fine because she's now part of the team, isn't she?
Mhm.
So she was saying she was scared and stuff. And Nurse Crane was like, this isn't my first baby. This is your first baby. It's not mine. Think of something you've done for the first time. And she was talking about knitting. And she was like, a mum taught you through it and all that. Taught me through it. And she was like, well, that's what's going to happen now. I'm going to talk you through it now. And thought it was just very, very moving, ladies. And
do you know when she gives birth to a baby girl?
Oh, cutie.
Sister Julienne pops up right at the end. Miss Higgins is just loving it,
despite a mattress being ruined.
Yeah, she'll regret that. Then she gets moved to the maternity home. Just the absolute luxury that Cindy must have thought, going from where she was to the maternity home, where it's clean, warm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. She's getting rest, she's getting help, she's getting food. But also, can we just talk about the fact that when Sister Julienne turned up, she said, you look like the three wise men.
I know.
If you had crowns on, you'd look like the three wise men.
I know.
Obviously, it is a Christmas episode.
Yeah.
But guys, I just have to say this too. Like, the thing that I felt so much, especially in that scene, but in a lot of Cindy's scenes, is that there are some times where Call the Midwife can get, like, it's so earnest and so, like, oh, everything, like that it just gets to be a bit much, and it sometimes feels like a bit too treacly for me, like, or a bit too, okay, we get it, but just everything about that whole interaction, like the birth and then taking her to the maternity home and all that kind of stuff like that, it just felt so genuine and spot on in a way that I don't know, I was just like lapping it up. Sometimes the scenes can be a bit too sincere, but this one just struck the right exact note for me. I thought it was just so sweet. Everyone just was, they weren't doing too much. They were doing just perfect.
Do you know what I loved in this? The fact that there was a scene, but then the main thing I loved was about Miss Higgins. So they were going about, Miss Higgins was going to get her things and stuff, and she is the best person for this job. She was amazing. And she was like, her life has been missing of the things that matters most. And Nurse Crane was like, love? And she was like, no, administration. But I will say, for that's
the best Miss Higgins line in the whole world.
Yeah, but it is. But also, like, that Miss Higgins doing this for her is Miss Higgins showing her love, because she very much believes in the bureaucracy. She very much, this is, she very, very, it's a big thing to her. She thinks this is what gets the way she spoke about it was so passionate. And the fact that she's done this for her has been amazing.
She gives bureaucracy the best name on earth.
She really does. She really does. And then, so basically, it all culminates into this big thing at the end, where all these different storylines, that on Christmas Day, all these amazing things happen, or after Christmas Day. Like, Christmas Day happens, then after Christmas Day, amazing things happen. And basically, just to spoil the Cindy thing, it's not spoiling it, we're just talking about Cindy, but she was all sorted out by Miss Higgins. She got a place on the Essex coast. She did all of the benefits for her. She sorted out all that. She just absolutely bossed it so that Cindy could have a great start with her baby. And what did she call the baby?
Melissa.
Yeah, which is a very modern name.
But did she explain why she called her Melissa?
Didn't hear.
No, not that I know of.
But it's very similar to Millicent. Melissa.
Oh, isn't it just?
Very Why clever. Is that important?
Because it's Miss Higgins' name.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I like
Interesting.
That I will say, Bobby last week, you're on it.
I know.
As much as when I was watching the show, Miss Higgins getting all of that worked out for her so fast was absolutely amazing. But I will say, like, I had to have, my own horrible thoughts, intrusive thoughts come in, because just all of that working out like so perfectly, it's only a Call the Midwife Christmas episode miracle. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just no way on earth that all of that would have gotten worked out in that amount of time. I mean, just
even in 1967 or
oh Lord.
yeah,
I mean,
turning
especially
68,
not.
wasn't it?
It's like mail it off and then wait 5 business days and then we'll return receipt, blah blah. I mean, like, there just ain't no way she got all that set up.
They were far more efficient in those days.
Mm.
We've overcomplicated things with computers.
I believe it for the episode, but there's just no way. There's just no way. I mean, the thing is, she gives birth, because you have to think, right? She gives birth while Phyllis and I'm not going to divert talk about this, while Phyllis and Millicent are practicing for the Christmas, like the popularity thing or whatever. And so it's obviously in the lead up, but then Miss Higgins says to no. Phyllis says to Cindy, like, oh, you get to, we normally keep we normally keep mothers here for 10 days after they've given birth, but like, depending on the circumstance, kind of thing. So it's like, okay, so basically a week and a half. In a week and a half, this girl went from having no identifying documentation, no connection, like nothing, other than just the knowledge she has in her head about where she was born, like da-da-da. And Miss Higgins gets literally everything she needs set up. I love the show. I'm overlooking it. But I'm just like, there's no way on earth.
It's a Christmas miracle.
It is a Christmas miracle. It's a Call the Midwife Christmas miracle.
Also, can we also talk about the fact that Rhoda Mullocks was there, guys? Can we talk about Rhoda Mullocks? Because I gasped when she walked in pregnant to the clinic.
Do you know what? I love the Mullocks family. Even alcoholic Bernie.
I've got problems with Bernie. I
can't say I love him, but my heart went out to Bernie this episode in a way that it hasn't gone out as
Alex
before.
I can't help it.
Well, you can say your piece. You can say your piece.
Yeah, can be vexed. Can we just really quick that Dr. Turner is obviously feeling very affected by this whole thing still, because obviously he feels really guilty, and he has done. This has been a constant thing that they've talked about. I love the fact we got the Mullocks back, by the way. I love it.
Yeah.
And he was saying that not one mother of a thalidomide child has given birth to another baby afterwards that's been affected, but they were still very reticent to take, because she's got low iron and she didn't want to take the iron, and Bernie was like, we've spoken about this, we're not taking, do you know what I mean? And I just thought how sad that trauma is it could affect the health of the new baby because of this whole situation they've had.
But as much as I just think everybody would do the same in that situation.
No, I agree. I just think it's really sad.
Everyone would do the same? I don't think that. I don't think you can say everyone.
I think you would. I don't think it would. It'd make everyone think twice, wouldn't it? About taking pills that a doctor's given you after you were told last
time. Twice for sure. Definitely think twice. I don't think iron pills are the same as like a brand new anti-nausea drug.
No, but she might not know that. Got that knowledge.
I'm not saying
I don't think you're thinking in your right mind.
Yeah.
Like to an outsider looking
in,
are. To an outsider looking in, you're like, no, you're fine to take those iron tablets. But having been through what they've been through, I just don't think anybody would do anything different in that situation. And I'll die on that hill.
Anyway.
Oh, Lord. Okay, fine.
So now, tell you what really did get me. So Dr. Tim is in surgery. He's there doing a bit of work experience for surgery, right? And he's there with Susan Mullocks, right? Now, he's been playing with Susan Mullocks for a little bit, right? Her arms are out, right? In that little coat thing, right? And he's like, oh, I'm just going to take your coat off now. What? And I just thought, Tim,
where did he think the rest of her limbs were? I mean, Tim, come on, my dude, come on.
Well, just, you know what I mean? Like, oh my God. So anyway, then he has a bit of a scene where he talks about how he feels a bit ashamed and stuff. And it was like, I think that was the whole thing to do with the whole Patrick shame as well. And they kind of put that in there, but that's by the way, we'll talk about that later. But so Rhoda had to go to the maternity home for a bit because she was getting really, really overwrought. There was a lot going on at home. Bernie's being a bugger, let's be honest. He's out drinking every night. He's talking about
But he's also, in his defence, he's about to be laid off.
I mean, is that a defence to go out drinking all the time and
spend money was laid off.
No.
He's also really struggling still with the thalidomide.
Yeah. They are. And they're arguing about it because she wants them to hold out for more money. And he's like, let's just take what money we can. Like, it's thousands that'll do us. That'll be amazing. She's like, well, then, because this is for Susan's future. This is not enough for her future. But also, she's also dealing with the fact that she's got teenagers, which must be hard in itself. But also,
I will say
Susan is left out of the nativity.
She's got lovely teenagers.
Yeah, she has. She has. Perry, I loved him.
Yeah.
But it was that awful
I wish that there...
No one's rolling their eyes at Rhoda when she speaks to them. No one's giving Rhoda teenagers. That's what it's like, Jen.
I mean, 8-year-olds, that's what it's bloody
I'm
like.
not understanding what you're saying.
Rolling eyes.
She's got nice teenagers that aren't rolling their eyes at her and giving her attitude.
So Mrs. Avis, do you remember Mrs. Avis, who was really awful to Violet? And she was like, oh, that you could make these patterns with a knife and a fork.
Yes, and she put on her best coat to go and complain to her.
Yes, she's been an absolute bitch to Susan. Not letting her go on stage. She's like, it's not safe having her on the stage. We're only thinking about her safety. And Rhoda was badass giving it to her.
I will say, Susan is the prettiest little girl.
Yeah, I think they chose her on purpose.
She is beautiful.
She is. Well, Bernie was like, where's my beautiful? And then Rhoda's like, have you been down the hand and shears? But then we realised that he's gone down because he wanted to get the luxury doll's house, but then we find out he actually is always there anyway, so that didn't help. So anyway, in the meantime, Susan's got some new legs, which she's trying out, and Rhoda, whilst heavy pregnant, is trying to get her to do that. And poor little Susan, all she wants to be is normal like the other kids. She wants to go out and play in the snow, but she's got to stay and try her new legs. So
it's good getting out on them.
Well, yeah, but it didn't end great, did it? So Rhoda's getting some chips together or doing something with potatoes, and Susan just goes out into the snow, which she did really well. And then Perry was so sweet helping her down, but then she fell back and whacked her head, and poor Perry and poor Susan. It was just awful. It was just a really horrible situation. I felt so bad for them all. And Dr. Turner was like, kids do have accidents. All kids have accidents. But awful.
I know. I will say, I think that I wish they had maybe spent a little bit more time on this, but there was a line that it was like Perry and Susan were sitting there. This was when Susan was in the hospital, but Rhoda was kind of like talking about Susan and saying how she was concerned or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I guess Perry had done something, and so they were kind of saying, well, Perry, like, something about like Perry playing sports or something. And it was like, well, why didn't we know about this? Or, like, you didn't tell us, or like, I wish you'd said something or whatever. And Susan was like, well, as if you'd ever ask. Like, if it's not about Susan, you don't care. And I actually thought that was a really illuminating line, and I wish they'd maybe expanded on it just a little bit more. I mean, they ended up going in with a lot on, what's the dad's name again? Bernie's alcoholism. So I feel like it's like there's only so much you can talk about. But I mean, like, I've always been such a champion for Rhoda, and I think we all kind of love her, but I will say at this point in the storyline, it's interesting to see that Rhoda's care and concern has kind of tipped potentially to a place where, it's creating some unhealthy dynamics, and that there's a lot of stuff that's happening that even though she wants the best for Susan, it's at the cost of other things. And so,
but the thing is, I think that kind of also highlights the fact that she has to do that for Susan, because she has to champion for her, because her kids are great and they're doing brilliant, and she's obviously doing a great job bringing them up, but Susan doesn't have the opportunities they have, because they were talking about she's not allowed to school and things like that.
Well, they're saying she goes to school, but it's effectively she's just colouring it. And they say that when they've raised it with the Department of Education, they've just said that she's got no legal entitlement to an education, which is insane.
It's terrible.
It's absolutely awful. Also, can I just say really quick about Perry making the most gorgeous present for Susan in his woodwork class? He has this little pole thing to help her move her toys around the doll's house. So they all dote on Susan, which I absolutely adore.
Well, and maybe that's what kind of brought it up, is that they, he made that for her, and then she says, "Oh, well, where did you learn to do that?" Or how did you get this or something?
Yeah.
And then that's when Susan is like, no, not Susan, the other sister,
Belinda.
It's like, oh, well, if you ever like cared about him or like asked about him, then maybe you would know, and it wouldn't be such a shock to you or something. And she's like, oh, I feel bad. I mean, the thing is, I get that they care about Susan, but
actually, it'll be the children that are helping and support her as she gets older.
Yeah. So another thing with Susan was obviously Susan her hit her head, which we touched on, and she obviously had to go to hospital. Now, at the same time, Rhoda then goes into the maternity home. It's this big thing. But Bernie goes into hospital, right? And it's like, oh, he's sat with his daughter. So he's, he is drinking a lot, but he's also stepping up. He loves Susan, and that's absolutely, he radiates with love for her. Whereas when we first met him, he was worried he wasn't going to. And he meets this dad, and he's like, oh, we love Susan. She's got beautiful blue eyes. Shame about her arms and legs, though, innit? You're just like, What?
You wouldn't say it, yeah.
I mean, well, apparently they did. And then he just closed the curtains on him, whereas I'd have just drop kicked him.
You'd always be shocked what people would or wouldn't say. People say things a lot they shouldn't
They
say.
really do, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, the girls, they're not girls, the kids. So Perry and Belinda, the teenagers, who are gorgeous, but still, he's still got to deal with them. They're like, Dad, go and fetch the doll's house and come straight home. So they obviously know what he's like, right? So
they're so over that. They're so over him. They're just like, oh my God, like.
Yeah, it's hard for everyone. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he gets absolutely mega pissed, right? But he's got this big doll's house. And then he runs off to play football, which just honestly
leaves it on a stack of bins.
Oh.
I mean, this is the classic, like, this man is hitting rock bottom. Like, this is where it's just like, you are just not caring about anything that truly matters. You're just throwing your life in the garbage can. I mean, the next morning when he comes in and the kids are like, well, where's the dollhouse? And he's like, you know, like, what? You know? And so he and Perry go out to look for it, and they get to the bins, and Perry's like, well, okay, where was it? And he's like, well, I told you it was over there. Like, you know, like, kind of, so you could tell he's mad at himself, but he's like in that place where you're not going to say how mad at yourself you are. You're just going to be like kind of a jerk about it. And so then he's like, oh, they already cleared the trash cans. Like, wait a minute, what's going on? And so we see like this vintage like garbage truck basically. So he runs over to it. He jumps like halfway in. He finds scraps from the dollhouse, and then he immediately is like so upset that he starts like throwing them and like smashing them. And Perry's like, what do you think that's going to do? You think that's going to help? And it was this moment where you could just see that Perry, even though he was like 15 or however old he's supposed to be, is actually like 45, and he's more of an adult and more of a man than his father. And you
also,
could tell that Perry is just like,
Rhoda's going into labour at this time as well, so he's got like this massive other responsibility coming through in the world at this time. And then he turns up drunk to see Rhoda after that whole scene. So after that whole thing, he's obviously dead upset. So he goes and just gets pissed again, and he's just like, Bernie.
Oh, it was.
Who saw Bernie at the clinic when he turned up? The best person who could have seen. Yes,
the best person who could see him. Yeah. Thank God she did, honestly.
Yeah. So she takes him. So Matthew's waiting in the car, and he's got a basket in the back.
Can I just say that Bernie's shaking acting when he takes the cup of tea?
Yeah, it was good.
He deserves a BAFTA for that.
So then Bernie gets into the back of this car that Matthew's trying to do this big romantic scene with Trixie.
He's got a picnic.
Yeah. He's like, non-alcoholic champagne. What's the point of that? You know?
Yeah. Like, he's like, you're on your way to bloody rehab, to Alcoholics Anonymous, mate. Like,
oh my God, I know. And you could see Matthew was just like, okay, be a good boyfriend, be a good boyfriend, be a good boyfriend. Like, he was just like, you know, like, okay, I guess our plans are canceled. Like, this is what it's like to date Nurse Franklin. You know what I mean?
But
like,
in the
every
meantime,
stray cat's gonna, you know.
Rhoda's like, get rid of him. I don't want him here. Bernie, get out. Because obviously she doesn't want, I can't think of anything less. Oh, I can't imagine. You're so in loads of pain. Your husband turns up pissed. You'd be
if it wasn't 1969 or whatever year it's supposed to be, they would have gotten divorced. Absolutely would have gotten divorced. That marriage was never going to have lasted if it wasn't the time it was.
The acting from Rhoda bloody Mullocks was out. This was BAFTA. So she's in labour with Sheila, right? And she's just like absolutely stressed to the hilt. She's had all that stress at home. She's got Bernie coming in drunk. She's so stressed about the new baby. She's got the guilt because of Susan. She's just like, it's just breaks down. And the scene with Sheila where she talks about it, about her worries for the baby and for Susan and everything, it was absolutely outstanding. And Sheila was there basically saying that the most miraculous organ is a mother's heart, as it never stops growing, right? Which was really amazing advice for her. And I think it did kind of ease her a bit, but I think she just needed to let all that awfulness out. She just was there like, this is and this and this.
And I know Dr. Turner carries a lot of guilt about the thalidomide scandal, but do you not think it was weird that he was sat on the floor outside the door listening to Rhoda?
Yeah, and also, do you know what else really got me? When he was actually in the room and he was like trying to think
with
things
the
to do
forceps.
With the forceps, it was like, oh no, I'm just cleaning him. He was like, then he started just screaming, "Come on, you can do it!" I just thought, hang on, mate, keep it down. Someone screaming from across the room doesn't really help you. But anyway, then she had a baby boy born just into Christmas Eve, which some would say. Yeah, which I think really did help alleviate some of the guilt.
Wait, what helped alleviate the guilt?
The fact that she called him Patrick.
Oh, yes.
But I loved the scene when she first had the baby and laid him on her. It was very reminiscent of when she first saw Susan. You know, she was inspecting her arms and legs and stuff. Oh,
yeah.
I thought that was beautifully done. I really loved that callback. Now, what I don't want to... Right, so Matthew, it's a long story about this bloody doll's house, right? But Matthew finds the doll's... Where does he get the doll's house? Is it?
I have the same question. Where has he got it from?
Where did
he
get it
makes
from?
a joke about it falling off the back of a lorry.
Was it Janty's and we've missed something? Listeners, tell us. Because
this is rich people privilege. I mean, basically,
probably
like what
knows the owner of Fortnum and Masons or something.
Well, the thing is, I mean, basically, because he's in the car with Trixie, and I guess they drop off Bernie, and Trixie gets back in the car, and she's like, "Oh God, like that poor man, like he's such a mess," and that. And he's like, "Well, what happened?" She's like, "Well, it's kind of like too much to say, but I guess if I had to sum it up, like one thing that was, happened is like, he lost his dollhouse for his kid, and it's a, da-da." And he's like, "Well, what do you think will fix it? Replacing it?" Because of course, I mean, in his mind, it's like, can I just throw money at the problem? Not in a bad way, but like that's such an easy way for him to actually like get something done. And she's like, well, maybe, but it's Christmas Eve and the stores and da 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 da. And I'm like, okay, you don't think a man like could literally walk up to any of these stores, flash his watch, flash some cash, flash whatever, and just or like call a friend who knows some, you know what I mean? Like you had made the point a few weeks ago, Al, like, this is the most well-connected guy. Like,
yeah.
I just thought, yeah, absolutely, if anyone was going to be able to just like snap his fingers and get a doll's house for this little girl. I mean, the thing that I found kind of crazy about it was that he literally got the exact same one.
Yeah.
I was just like, you couldn't have gotten just like at doll's, like it just made me think like I was like, I don't know, that kind of took me out of it a little bit, but I just thought, of course,
I just thought that was probably the only vintage one they had.
Yeah, I think that's probably, it's just the bog style. It's the middle of Lidl doll's house, isn't it?
Yeah, probably, sure. Yeah.
So anyway, later on after Christmas, because this is all post-Christmas now where it all goes lovely, Bernie goes to a meeting with Trixie where he does his big speech about love, which I thought he would never open up like that as a man in the 60s. And he was talking about thalidomide and all this, and he did a big impassioned lovely speech. It was brilliant acting, but I did think it was unrealistic about him. He just grunted until this point, Jen.
Yeah, but maybe that's what hitting rock bottom does to you.
I mean, I don't think it makes you eloquent, a man from Poplar, if I'm honest.
Maybe not. I mean, again, to me, this was like the Call the Midwife Christmas miracle. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
like,
exactly.
We've just got to.
We'll give it artistic license. Do you know what I mean? We'll allow it because it's amazing acting. His acting was outstanding. But then they showed a family photo of them all trying to meet the baby and stuff, and it was just all cute. It was really cute. And then the cutest thing I love, we'll talk about Poplar-tunity Knocks. Can I just say, absolutely outstanding pun? But also Susan Mullocks was there. They were so proud of her. Being Frosty the Snowman.
And Sheila did come up with a genius costume.
Yes.
So really that all of the girls looked identical.
But they were just bursting with love and pride, and I'm just so glad we got to see the Mullocks again because I just bloody love them.
Yeah.
I love when they revisit families and families just keep popping up.
Yeah, we've said this before. I'd like to see more, if I'm honest.
Well, and to see like what people really are dealing with, because a lot of times, we're just kind of like, well, I hope this worked out. Like, I hope it was okay. I hope
we often just do our own endings, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. And this one, it was like, okay, well, it did kind of work out okay. Like in a lot of ways, it really did. But then also, like in a lot of ways, it really isn't working out okay. And like the family is really struggling. I mean, like, again, to me, like, I get why Rhoda was upset about the Christmas show. I just don't. And again, I'm not criticizing anything that actually happened in the episode. But to me, the fact that her little daughter can't go to a real school, like, doesn't have friends, like, can't, participate in, her life more fully and is potentially suffering. I mean, that to me felt like more consequential than the Christmas pageant. But I mean, I get why in the episode she was upset about it, but I also was like, okay, well, that, I don't know, those were the concerns that I felt like were more serious, but it's a Christmas show, so
yeah. Shall we talk about Sister Frances really quick, who was doing just everything? So obviously Hilda wasn't there anymore, and she was picking up the slack for the fact that Trixie wasn't there, and she was doing the Christmas cake with the marzipan at daft o'clock at night, and it was just I did quite like the scene of her just wearing like her underwimple. That was quite exciting. But she was just doing loads, and she had one of the most gruesome births I've ever seen, guys.
Oh God,
it just makes me feel ill thinking about it.
I know, and it put me in mind. Do you remember that mum that delivered her daughter's baby and she tried pulling on the placenta?
Yeah, when the doctor was like, pull it. So anyway, it was a really weird scene as well, because she went to it was on Christmas Day, and all the kids were all guessing Sister Frances's name, and she gets a call out, and it's like this weird factory. She like lives in a factory, and
guys, go ahead, Bex.
I thought she was in like not a hostel, but it was like the Seamen's Mission type thing. But obviously the Seamen's Mission is.
I thought it was a factory.
I thought it was a factory too.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Anyway, the point being, she gets called out to a woman in labour. The woman in labour's on her own, terrified, can't really speak English very well. Then this whole bloody placenta thing happens. So she calls Nonatus House, and Lucille's the next one on call. So she calls her to get her out. And then she falls on a bike in the snow. I was like, and she hurt her arm, and she just looked so bereft, but she wasn't bereft for herself. She was bereft for this woman. So she was there doing a prayer. Oh my God. It was very high drama, guys. I suppose we've got to do high drama on those, but I didn't like it. So
this was crazy to me. This was absolutely crazy. They already talked about how like completely ridiculously overworked she was and how much she was doing and how it was like not sustainable, not pop, you know what I mean? And then literally everyone is just sitting around on Christmas Day having a nice time, and they come in and they're like, oh, somebody's gonna have a baby, and everyone's just like, oh, okay, well, anyways, like cool, and then she's the one that gets up and goes to take care of her. I thought that was insane. I was like, you're literally haven't given this woman a day off this whole time, and I was like, and now you're gonna saddle her with Christmas Eve duty? Like, to me, that just I don't know. I just felt like really upset for her on her like I know it was showing her bravery, but I just was like, no, that's just so unfair. It's so unfair.
So anyway, Lucille comes.
I just thought this storyline was unnecessary. It was like shoehorned in at the end.
Well, maybe it's because of what happened at the end.
Like a way
so
to get
anyway,
her out of there,
so they have to push the thing. It was awful, the worst scene ever. This bloody placenta flops out. I nearly died. So then they're like, "Oh, I've sent for the ambulance, but there's room in it for 2." This is what Lucille says. I think you've broken your shoulder. So then the next scene we see of Sister Frances is she wakes up in hospital and she's like, "Oh, have I had a operation?" And she's like, "Yeah, nasty double fracture." Sister Julienne's saying that. She should be bloody begging forgiveness for making her go out that day. And she was like, "I think God wants the order to take better care of itself." Well, maybe Sister Julienne, sorry, the order wants you to take better care of people under your charge. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then she's like, "You are to go to Chichester until your arm heals. You will need rest and privilege of prayer, and it is your right. You have earned it." And then there was a scene at the end when Sister Frances left, and her little face in the car. I'm gonna miss her so much.
And she
she reveals to Colette what her actual name was.
Rosemary.
I think it suits her, to be fair.
Oh, I think it's a great name. Yeah.
I mean,
well, and like the way that her and Nancy were like crying, saying goodbye.
Nancy's reaction was mine, guys.
Yeah,
I loved their friendship. Loved it.
Yeah. They've been such buddies.
Yeah.
Do you know who else's friendship I was loving this episode? Nancy's and Matthew's.
Oh yes, I like the way she made him flick poo off a weird nativity thing.
Christmas ornament.
Flick it off with the finger.
So Matthew's planning to propose, and he ropes in Nancy because he needs Nancy to find out her ring size.
Yeah.
Nancy's loving it. She says she feels like she's in the French Resistance, which I loved. All she needs is a beret and a belted mac.
Mm-hmm. And then she's like, "Well, I've got a favour to ask of you." And then the big reveal. Yeah.
But meanwhile, slowly, everyone in Nonatus house gets wind that Matthew is going to propose. What did you think of Sister Julienne telling Matthew that she?
I'm glad you asked this. Yes, this is the question I wanted to ask. Yes. What did we think?
I just thought it was a bit unusual.
I thought it was out of order.
Yeah, I did.
I just think I honestly at first when she said Trixie's been engaged before, I was like, wait a minute. To who? I really had to think about it. Like, I really forgot about that. And then she said, "Oh, he was a clergyman." And Matthew gives this look like, kind of like, how is that supposed to work? And then I was like, oh, right, Tom. Like I really had to cast my mind back. I thought this was a rare moment of kind of inserting herself in a way that I was like, why are you doing this, Sister Julienne? Like, this isn't really like.
She wasn't a normal self.
It just didn't kind of make sense the way that she would say that. Like, I just feel like a lot has happened since those times. And I just thought it was I was like, oh, don't say anything like that. Now though, the question is, outside of that particular context, do you think it's okay to say something about would you guys ever feel like there would be an appropriate situation where you could say that to somebody's potential fiance if you thought that the person they were getting engaged to would have strong feelings about an engagement ring? Or is it never okay to interfere? Like, you just have to let people do
I think it's okay to interfere.
If they ask you what sort of ring do you think they would like, if someone's bought a ring, I don't think you should say,
that's awful.
That's awful. Also, I was having this conversation with someone at work today. She's going on holiday with a boyfriend. She's only 20. She was like, maybe he'll propose. And I was like, well, yeah, but you'll be a child bride. so I was like, would you want him to pick a ring, or would you want to pick the ring? And I think it's nice. I mean, it doesn't, everyone each to their own. I think it's nice when someone proposes with a ring. And you find sometimes, I think it means more that it's something that someone's chosen for you. It might not be exactly what you would want.
I know someone who hated a ring.
But then did they come to love it? Because
No, they changed it. They couldn't live. It was just, I'm not gonna lie, it was awful.
But here's a question. Do you think that if someone proposed to you and they picked the ring, but it was genuinely to you horrifying, you would be willing to
No, I'd say
live with it?
I'm not wearing that for the rest of my life if I hate it.
I know, but I've been bought things and I'm like, I would absolutely not have chosen this for myself, but it means more that someone's bought it for me. So I'm
gonna say this now, Bex. I do not think for a second if I bought you something and you like, I don't know, it was something that was like, I don't know, I don't know why I'm acting like I'm gonna propose to you, but like you are very much, I'm not gonna wear that, I don't like it. You're very like, I'm not keeping that. I genuinely.
Well, that's how well I've not revealed.
Yeah. I don't even know what that
I
means.
won't give you specific examples. That would be.
Oh.
But is it stuff that you wear openly with consistency because of
every
mentality?
See,
that's the thing. An engagement ring you have to wear all the time.
I've been given jewelry. Obviously, you two think that I would. That's what we're getting at here.
Well, honestly, I think I'd do the same, Bex. I would say I don't like it. I've been given
jewelry that I don't like, but it's the fact that
you wear it every day
for you. I mean, not anymore.
Well,
I just think it's hard because the point of it is to wear it all the time. Like you, like it's like imagine if if like someone gave you a sweater and you were like, oh, okay.
You might not choose to continue wearing jewelry. Do you know what I mean?
Well, anyway,
do you know what this is like? Do you know what this is like? This is like on Sex and the City when Aiden proposes to Carrie, and she's like, "Oh," and she's really not into it, and so she just wears it as like a charm around her neck, and then everyone's like, "Oh my God, what are you doing?"
What would you two do?
I'd say I don't like it. I want a new one.
Well, I've done the exact opposite in that situation.
I'd break up. If someone doesn't know me well enough to buy a piece of jewelry I don't like, then I don't think we should be getting married.
Anyway, Nurse Crane catches Nancy trying to find out the size, and that reminded me so much of Bex because she like closed the door and was like, "Tell me what."
It was such a cute scene between the two of them because I feel like Nurse Crane and Nancy don't have like a lot of bonding, stuff. So this was actually like a really cutie moment. Yeah. I thought that was.
I think we need to talk about the proposal really quick because honestly we're going really too slow here considering how much we've got to cover. So we didn't really need a 10-minute thing on rings. So Poplar-tunity Knocks happens. Right.
Okay.
And it's happening because since the train crash, there's people who can't pay the bills and stuff. And it's Fred saying he wants to do something to help. So he decides to do this to raise money for people who've been affected by the train crash, which is amazing. Right. Beautiful. And Reggie wants to do it too. But Reggie's like, he's like, oh, are you going to help behind the scenes? And Reggie's like, well, no, I want to bloody be on the.
He's like, listen, I'm a hot guitar player and people are going to know about it. Okay. I'm not wearing a suit. I'm wearing jeans and I'm going to look fit and I want people to see me strumming away up there.
Well, yeah. So anyway,
Violet's trying to get him to wear like a suit and tie. And he's like, no, I want to be cool. I'm not going to wear a tie. That's old.
Well, exactly. So the auditions was an amazing scene as well with Dr. Tim and Fred auditioning people.
Yeah. It was like watching the X Factor, you know what I mean? Like where there's like some really, really bad acts and then there's like a couple of really good ones and then there's a couple where it's like, well, this isn't really what we're looking for, but like it's just kind of like entertaining and everything.
I like the dancer where it was like, oh, she's got a very good sense of rhythm.
I like when the actual performance is on, Mojo's reaction to Miss Higgins's performance. It's like Mojo's got some form of PTSD and she's reliving that time when she performs for them.
The way she's like, amazing. Like her whole head twitched when she heard.
Oh, the whole thing, the practice scene between them two where she's like, reading, you're not going to be reading, you're going to be reciting. Like, Nurse Crane looked like she wanted to top herself. It was amazing.
Oh my God.
Oh, but the fact that she actually goes along with it and does it for Millicent.
Yeah, I feel like that's
the kind of... I would not do that for either one of you.
You know what, guys? It reminded me of this podcast. I'm Miss Higgins playing the thing, and you two are like, oh, for God's sake, we'll go along with you. So...
That's very accurate, actually.
Yeah, thank you.
But Matthew and Nancy's duet.
I know. Well, it wasn't. Obviously, there was lip syncing, weren't they?
Oh, do you think? I kind of wondered if they
like
were.
Frank Sinatra. That was definitely.
You thought he sounded just like Frank Sinatra?
Yeah, I think he was. I think it was 100% lip sync. I'm 100% on that.
Oh, I mean, you could be right. I didn't think he sounded like Frank Sinatra. I thought he sounded. I mean, because I thought like, oh, I could believe that this is a guy who has, like, billed himself as like, oh, I can sing, I can dance, I can You know what I mean? Like, I thought he was singing himself. Oh my gosh. Okay, well,
no, not at all. Also, what did you think of Cyril in a tuxedo?
Thought he looked great. Thought he looked great. I loved it. I loved when he said, did you guys notice that Fred's tuxedo had like buttons all around? Like it was like he like had sewed on like a whole bunch of buttons as like a spangly kind of like detail and everything. And
Yeah,
then Cyril had
like a
on a
pearly
black
king.
tuxedo with I want to say like a stripe of like sequins all around the edge of his like lapels and stuff. And it was just so fun. Like because Fred says, "Oh, well, you should be wearing something more like a regular TV show host." And he says, "No, no, no." He's like, "I don't want to look like I'm just a bank manager or a civil engineer or, a guy who works in an office." He's like, "This is entertainment. I want to look like an entertainer." And like I just thought it was so cute how like Fred and Colette were the kind of the MCs of the whole event. I just thought that was like so lovely.
Yeah, I like that as well. And
Yeah.
also, can we just talk about really quick the weird thing with Cindy and Reggie? I just thought this was really weird that like she gave him the confidence to go on stage. He was a bit like, oh, I'm nervous, even though all his friends and stuff were there. And then Cindy goes and sits on bloody stage with him with the baby. It was weird, guys. I thought it was
Yeah.
weird. I did
You
not
really
like
thought
it.
it was weird?
Yeah, I thought it was really weird.
If she'd have participated anyway, but to just be sat there.
Yeah, I just thought it was weird. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, I guess I just didn't. I don't know.
And also, I really did love the snowman scene with the kids all singing. That was bloody cute. Can we also talk about the fact that on Christmas Day, Matthew tried to propose to Trixie, and it was his perfect scene next to the fire, and amazing. Oh, go on.
Well, I was going to say when he actually proposes, this is what annoys me also about Sister Julienne saying something is that she's got Matthew so paranoid about the ring that he's chosen that it ruins his proposal because then he throws it.
Yeah, but the first proposal was ruined by John to being sick everywhere because he'd eaten a whole selection bar.
Sick of a mojo.
That was Sheila. Like, oh my God, that scene really had me laughing out loud when she's just, oh, he's just thrown up, but she's like, mostly it's just, like Cadbury Select or whatever the thing. But, and he's just.
But
like,
the place
oh
that
God.
he did propose on New Year's Eve by the river at New Year with all the lights on the bridge was gorgeous. But you're so right, Bex. When he threw that, I was like, what are you actually doing? Throwing a bloody, do you know what I mean?
Oh my God.
What?
I mean, when he first revealed, like when he walked out of Sister Julian's office with John T and he pulls the ring out of his box and he opened it, my mom and I both audibly gasped. Like that ring was massive. I don't care. I know we just talked about rings you do or don't like. That would not be a ring that I would like choose for myself or that I would pick, but I'm sorry. That ring was ridiculous. There's no way. It was when he threw it, I just was like, oh my God. I thought exactly like Trixie. I would have run right after that ring, no questions asked.
Sister Julienne just really did Trixie a disservice on that and ruined it for Matthew as well because it made him doubt his choice.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I don't know. People are funny about this kind of thing though. I don't know. People do like that guy before, like saying about a shame about her arms and legs. People do say weird things at the same time, but I don't think Trixie, not Trixie. I don't think Sister Julienne would. But anyway, so it was gorgeous. It was the most gorgeous, most joyous scene. It was a gorgeous end to the episode with the fact that he was like, Trixie, I love you for who you are, for all the places you've been and come back from, and for all the things you've shown me and all the places we're yet to go. Will you come with me as my wife? I don't care about the diamond. Then he throws it, and I'm like, don't do that.
Also, it was nice. It was nice to have a bit of passion for these two.
Yes. And also, do you know what I really liked? That she found it straight away. I didn't want an episode where they were looking for, I thought, thank God for that. And then he was like, will you marry me? She's like, yes.
A sparkly pantsuit.
Yeah.
Oh, her outfit looked great. I really like her longer hair this time, too. I think it's just so nice.
I do like it when they do that. Can we also talk about, really quick, that was joyous and gorgeous and we all loved it. Can I also talk about the fact that Mrs. Higgins was really annoyed with Dr. Tim in clinic when he called Sheila mum. And he was like, I think you'll find his Mrs. Turner when you're in clinic.
But it's like one of those situations, when people accidentally call the teacher mum.
Yes.
You just do it on autopilot.
Yeah, we once had to do this experiment with earwigs and I shouted out to the teacher, Dad. And I said, my wiggets have escaped. I called them wiggets. Oh, God, it was so embarrassing. I was like 15.
Oh, that's such a...
Also, can I just say really quick about so they go back to Nonatus House after they got engaged to like this joyous scene at the end. They're all outside. Why are they all outside? Is that a thing? Is that a tradition in this country to sing Auld Lang Syne? They've got a perfectly acceptable, massive room in Nonatus House, but he just abandons his car in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
Didn't park it.
Well, and then she starts flashing her ring and everyone's like, whoa! And then they all then they walk to the center of the circle and have this like really amazing kiss. I will say...
Flashes her engagement ring. Let's word that right, or it sound terrible.
Oh yes, flashes her engagement ring, yes. But I thought, you know what, I was so grateful because Lucille and Cyril kissed and Trixie and Matthew kissed, and I thought, okay, this we're finally getting back to normal now. This must be a sign that like, COVID is easing, like people are able to like hug and kiss as normal on TV shows again. Like, thank goodness. It just felt like so much more genuine and real. Although
Yeah.
I will say about Cyril and Lucille, because they were the host and then stage manager for the show, and I don't know I can't remember what's coming, but like I thought that they would have more struggles after the miscarriage than it seems like they are having. And so now I'm kind of wondering like what's going to happen in series
I think they
12.
just didn't need to put that in a Christmas episode. I thought they looked really good in the snow together at one scene. And also they had Mrs. Watson there with her eye being totally fine, which I loved. But I think they kind of just needed to show that I think they've had enough struggles. And for Christmas Day, we don't want that as well. Do you know what I mean?
No, I
We've already
agree,
got
but they've
Bernie's
had
alcoholism.
No, I agree, but they had the same thing for the train episode as well. Like they seem like they're kind of like hunky-dory again. So I don't know. Oh, also, wait, speaking of that, how in the world did Dr. Turner's arm heal in about 4 weeks? I mean, isn't Guy Fawkes at the beginning of November?
Yeah.
So this is Christmas. He literally had no cast, no nothing.
It's 6 weeks though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 6 weeks. 5th
of
November.
He broke his wrist. Like,
that's 6 weeks normally in a cast.
I know, but it doesn't come out, and then you're just, I mean, he's also like in his 50s. Like, he's not like he's not like a kid or whatever. I don't know. I just thought that was crazy that, like, I thought that was a little bit too fast.
You know what else I really love? There's a scene with Trixie when she walks into the bedroom and Nancy's colour explosion clothes are everywhere.
Prints everywhere, yeah.
She's like, refusal to over-accessorize, refusal to buy too many clothes. I loved it.
Also, when Nancy, because Sister Julienne arranges for Nancy and Trixie to have an extra wardrobe and an extra set of drawers, and Nancy refers to the money that Trixie's fancy man provides in Nonatus House.
I loved it. Also, can I just say, I'm very impressed with those ladies because this was an hour and a half and we've tried to like whack this in. And listeners behind the scenes, this is late at night and we are all really tired.
Yes, it's a weekday.
Jen's just finished work. We've been waiting up. We're very tired.
Yeah. There's a lot going on this episode.
Yeah. So, are we doing Heroes and Zeros?
We are, yeah. Bex, did you feel the Christmas magic this time? I know Christmas episode's your favorite.
I did. I was loving the Christmas lights.
Oh.
My 0 is going to be Sister Julienne for inserting herself in Matthew and Trixie's engagement. Just unnecessary.
And fair, but also overworking Sister Frances.
Yeah. My hero is going to be Miss Higgins for helping, for just being Miss Higgins has really come into her own, like the last few episodes, and just the help that she provided to Cindy in getting her set up was just invaluable.
Yeah, and that is her showing love as well. So I just thought that was really nice and kind.
Because she had 2 weeks in the maternity home, but she would have still been back to square one at the end of that. So it was actually getting her set up so that she had somewhere to go and all of the admin.
Yeah, and she moved her to Essex. Maybe she started Towie.
Maybe.
Maybe she opened the Sugar Hut, or Melissa did.
We can only hope.
Yeah. Who's next?
You go, Al.
My 0 is Sister Frances for leaving. No, it's not. It should be, but I'm very, very sad about that. My 0, it's not going to be Bernie, even though it should be. Although, no, it's going to be Bernie. Like, I think it's amazing that he's sorted out himself by going to Alcoholics Anonymous. I think that's amazing. But up until that point, his family had been suffering for a long time with him doing that. And I just think, I know he loves them, but at the same time, bloody show it and step up. And your poor wife's pregnant, dead heavy pregnant. She's got all this to deal with and the extra stress of you doing that and then leaving the doll's house. Like, honestly, I could have killed him myself. I was just like, that's awful. And you're so right, they would be divorced because who the hell would put up with that?
Well, they just would have divorced each other like years ago. You know what I mean? Like, they wouldn't have gone through the first year.
I mean, I can't even believe she's even managed to get pregnant. Like, I can't believe she's let him near her. Like, let's be honest. And my hero is going to be Perry because I think that
they were such good kids.
Yeah, they really were. But the actual toy mate, it was genius to get Susan to be able to play with her because they were all just obsessed with her. They all loved her, and I just loved that for her. But the fact that he even thought about it, I was just so bloody thoughtful of him and so gorgeous, and I just absolutely loved that. And I just thought, that needs highlighting.
Well, and look, I mean, Perry was really thinking about like, how do I help Susan be more, how do I help Susan, really be able to like express herself more. And I know that Bernie and Rhoda wanted that too, but I feel like the two of them maybe got caught up a little bit in kind of the day-to-day a bit more, and like got up a little bit in kind of the whole their history with it and like their trauma and their, I don't know. I felt like Perry really stood out. I feel like he was doing something in a new way for the family and for his sister. Yeah, I'm with you there. My hero and zero. Okay, my zero is gonna be, I feel like my zero is gonna be all the people around Cindy until she meets Reggie, and then especially when she meets Miss Higgins and Phyllis. Poor thing. I mean, just poor thing. Like I don't know, Cindy, like I really love her, and I really felt for her storyline, and I just thought she did a great job, and I just felt so bad that she was just so down and out the whole time, and just she was so cold and like freezing and pregnant and everything, and I just felt bad. So I wanted her to succeed, and I hope that she did. And then my hero, you know what I want my hero to be? Because I actually thought about this when I was watching the episode. I didn't think, okay, my hero is the way that the men that get with our nurses that we love are, and the way that they're written. Because I just thought about this last night when Matthew said this to Trixie. So think about Peter. Says to Chummy, I'll do anything for you, just tell me what to do. Like, you're so beautiful, you're the light of my life, like I'm here for you 100%, just like anything you want, my love. Then we have Tom with Barbara. He says literally, when she turns around and sees the carousel, she's like, you did this for me? He's like, I would do anything for you, I love you so much, you're my life, you're my heart, you're my blah 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 blah. Like, and even the proposal in Africa is so beautiful that he has for her. He gives her, it's so beautiful. And then last night when I was watching the show, Trixie is, he like, what does Matthew said? It says it right at the end, but it's like, he's like, you're my everything, or like, you're my whole being, or, I do it all
join me on the journey.
I love you, da-da-da. And I just thought that, I just love that, because that is what I think a lot of humans, but I think especially a lot of women are really, really looking for, like a partner who's really, really, really showing up for them in such a powerful and meaningful way, and is just so devoted and so caring and so, into it. And these, well, exactly. And these women give so much to other people. I don't know, maybe I'm over-identifying, but like I just feel like these women give a lot, and to have partners who are just so enthusiastic about it. I mean, I feel like even Cyril said stuff like this to Lucille. He's like, he has the speech where he says, I love the person that you are, like Nurse Anderson, right? He's like taking in her whole, so that's just my hero this time. I love the way that these men who are with the nurses are like, love them and show up for them. And I just think it's so romantic, and Matthew just now is being added to that group.
I also want to give a shout out to Fred for coming up with Poplar-tunity Knocks for helping the victims of the train crash, and also for Sister Francis, because I will bloody miss her. I'm so sad about her leaving, guys. Like, genuinely,
I really thought she was going to come back.
Sad.
It's not come back.
No, not so far. Well, she might do. Oh my God, if she comes back, that'll be the best day ever, won't it?
It will be. It would be. You know what I loved? I loved when Fred is like, I don't know who he's like trying to mimic here, but he goes, Poplar-tunity Knocks, I just thought that was very funny.
I mean, maybe I'm presuming there was an Opportunity Knocks presenter who did that, but obviously
I got the sense he was actually
I don't know it.
One of like an American guy, to be honest with you, but I thought it was very funny.
Yeah, I thought the name Poplar-tunity Knocks is outstanding. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. We will see you next time. We need to sort of out. We haven't done any talked about any of that. Anyway, we will see you next time, and follow us on all of our social media and rate us, all that. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.